Welcome to Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. I'm Emmanuel Acho. Only took me 2 months to run Marcellus off this show. Kidding, he'll be back tomorrow. But I got to keep this train rolling, and we got a great show for you today. So let's get started in the NBA, where LeBron James, coming off a huge win last night in Game 1 of the NBA Finals, but now his former teammate Kyrie Irving throwing some shade, putting him on blast. Kyrie hasn't played a game yet in Brooklyn with Kevin Durant, but he's already praising his teammate, saying on KD's podcast, quote, "I felt like I was the best option on every team I've ever played for down the stretch. This is the first time in my career where I can be like, that bleep can make the shot too. Ooh, shots fired if I've ever heard it." I'm joined by NBA analyst Slick Rick Bucher and former teammate of Kyrie and LeBron, my dog, Tristan Thompson. Fellas, let's get this thing started. So, Tristan, you got to tell me, bro. Keep it real with me. It's just me and you here talking. Is Kyrie out of line for not mentioning LeBron here?
Man, oh man. I didn't know I was going to wake up to
That's
this.
the answer. He gave the answer right there.
It's spicy.
It's spicy.
It's spicy. Put me right in there.
Right now.
Man, I'm going to say this, man. I'm Kai, my dog. I love him to death. I love Bron. I mean, he out of line. He out of line for that, man. He's out of line, man. I think Kyrie, he better than that. I think this might be some Sean Marks, Brooklyn Nets. Let's get the mojo and the kumbaya going. So, you know, KD, I'm going to get them going. I'm going to get these two stars to love each other and figure it out. But I did disagree with Kyrie, man. I mean, Kai, he's made some tough shots. But listen, Bron's made some tough shots in his career. Of course, I know Kai, he believes in himself. Of course, he's going to say he thinks he's the best option. Of course, he has a right to believe that. But, I mean, you play with LeBron James. You see the shots that he makes. So, come on now. We've seen what LeBron's done multiple times.
Tristan, keep it a buck with me, bro. You was on the team. You was on the squad. You got the bling. You got the rings. Is there truth to Kyrie saying that he was the best option?
Best option? I would say this. The way T. Lue did it was that whoever had the hot hand was going to take the last shot of the game. I think Kyrie is a top 5 talent in our league when he's playing and healthy. And LeBron we already know, he's the best player in the world. So, obviously, Kyrie believes in himself, and he feels like he's the best player on those Cleveland Cavaliers teams, and some of us will agree, and some think LeBron is. So, I get what he's saying. Listen, you make that shot in Game 7 in the NBA Finals, you could talk this hard. You got a right to say that, but saying like, you know, Kevin Durant's the only player he's played with that can make a shot, like, you know, make a tough shot. Now, that's just crazy. Like, I'm going to be honest. Come on, bro.
Hey, Tristan.
Come on, bro. We better than that.
I'm going to say what Tristan won't say. Kyrie talking crazy. Okay, Kyrie, there's no other way around it except for to say Kyrie's talking crazy. LeBron is on his way to get his 4th chip. We saw it last night. LeBron rescued Kyrie from the pits of hell. Kyrie was a 35% winner before LeBron showed up. Dun-dun-dun-dun, to save the day. After Kyrie's winning 35% of the time, LeBron shows up, and with King James, Kyrie starts winning 68% of the time, and Kyrie dares fix his lips, dares to utter the words that Kevin Durant is the first mother sucker that can knock down a big shot. What are we talking about? Also, Kyrie, you ain't even played an NBA game with KD yet. Last time y'all played together was in 2016 for the U.S. team. But also, Kyrie, LeBron James ran KD out of OKC to Golden State. I just can't make sense of it. Kyrie is completely, absolutely, totally out of line. Tristan, I appreciate you being kind with it, but I got to take it a step further and say what I really feel, because Kyrie is completely tripping. Slick?
All right, Acho, I got to give you credit. You've made the transition. You're a full media person now, creating a storm where there shouldn't be one. Whoa. Acho, there is absolutely nothing wrong with what Kyrie said. Both of you guys are derailing the conversation because he didn't say that LeBron can't hit a tough shot, didn't say that he hasn't hit a clutch shot. He said, who is the best option when it comes to hitting a shot like that? Kyrie has all the confidence in the world and 100% believes I am the best option. The killers think that way. LeBron James thinks everybody potentially can be that best option. He's thought that Kyle Korver at times was that best option. He's thought that J.R. Smith was that best option. He's thought that Kyrie was that best
not
option.
buying it, Slick.
I would make the case that LeBron James at times has undervalued his own ability to hit that shot because he has deferred. And I'm like, dude, you're the best player on the floor. I want to see you take that shot, even in certain situations where it's a contested shot for him as opposed to a wide open shot for somebody else. So, yeah, I mean, let's take it into context, too.
Slick, I know shade. I know shade when I hear shade, Slick. Now, I appreciate you because you're the elder statesman of the group. And, Tristan, we have to acknowledge that, you know, Slick is the adult here, and he has to break up the fight. But, Slick, let me put this in context. LeBron James, August 24th, after they beat the Rockets, they're asking him an interview because AD had just balled. And they say, LeBron, is AD the best number 2 you've played with? And LeBron says this, Slick. He says, you know, AD does some things that D-Wade and Kyrie couldn't do. But then he says D-Wade does some things that AD and Kyrie couldn't do. But then he says Kyrie does some things that AD and D-Wade couldn't do. That is not shade. That is somebody saying, you know what? Me and Kyrie, we might not rock together heavy, but I'm still cognizant of the fact that Kyrie is cold. Slick, Kyrie is guilty by the omission of LeBron's name. That's what I'm saying. Just because he didn't mention LeBron's name, he's guilty by the omission of it.
He said best option. It's not that he's not a option. It was emphasis on best option. And I'll be honest, if I've got Kyrie and I've got LeBron James, as great as LeBron James is, and in a multitude of ways, in the same way that if it's Anthony Davis or LeBron James, I would have normally gone to LeBron James until Anthony Davis hit that shot the other night. But don't take my word for it. That play was for LeBron James. Rajon Rondo looked him off and saw Anthony Davis and gave him that shot with 2 seconds left because he believed that Anthony Davis was going to hit that shot. When it comes to Kyrie or it comes to Kevin Durant, I mean, Kevin Durant was the guy they went to even over Steph Curry, who is considered a killer and a closer. It's not look, I don't think it, honestly, I don't see it as shade to LeBron James. He is great in so many ways, and he has made big shots. But if you're asking me, life on the line, who do I want taking that shot? I want Kevin Durant taking that shot. I want Kyrie Irving taking that shot before I want LeBron James taking that
Tristan,
shot.
you tell me, because me and Slick just here talking. Thank you, Tristan. Set the record straight.
You tripping, Slick. First of all, Slick, I see how you try to throw that in there with the Denver series. Rondo gave AD the ball. First of all, he gave AD the ball because AD created that separation from Miles Plumlee or Mason Plumlee, whatever his name is, who was tying his shoes. That's the reason why he got the ball, really. Because I know this play. We ran against Chicago when LeBron hit it on Jimmy Butler. You know what I'm saying? So, first of all, Slick, you thought you got away with that. I know that play. The reason why Rondo gave it to AD is because he created separation, all right? And first of all, if my life's on the line, I'm taking the shots. I'm taking the shot. I'm not putting another one in someone else's hands.
You are.
Tristan, you know this better than us. Ultimately, me and Slick is just up here talking. Shade or no shade? Like, you read the quote, you heard the quote. Shade or no shade?
No, that's definitely some shade. But I know it's definitely shade, but I know for a fact Bron's probably just laughing. Like, listen, Kyrie said the earth is flat, so sometimes you just gotta laugh. Sometimes you just gotta laugh when you hear quotes.
Here's my thing,
Okay, so
Slick.
hold on a second.
Go ahead.
Acho, both of you. I gotta ask you this question. Life on the line. You got a choice. KD or LeBron? Who do you want taking the last shot?
I'm gonna go first.
Wait, go first.
If rosters are equal, it's not going to come down to that. Because we saw what happened when LeBron was in that situation, Slick. We saw what happened. Tristan, you go ahead. I'm going to defer. I'm going to go ahead.
First of all, when you ask a question like that, I'm smart. I'm going to ask you, what we taking, a 2 or a 3?
Thank you. That's a good question.
We taking a 2 or 3, Slick?
I don't care.
If it's a 2, I'm taking Bron. Left hand layup, attack the rim.
All day.
If it's a 3, I might take KD because he's a percentage of better 3-point shooter than LeBron. But if it's a 2, I'm going with LeBron. There's no question.
We don't know whether it's a 2 or a 3. I'm just giving the ball. This is the guy I'm giving the ball to win the game.
Here's the thing, Slick. The question is not this. The question is not, is Kyrie accurate? The question is Kyrie out of line? Kyrie may have some substance to his point. I'm not saying Kyrie doesn't have no substance to his point, Slick. The fact of the matter is, Kyrie is out of line. Without LeBron James, Kyrie is John Wall. That's who Kyrie is. He's a really good player, a #1 overall pick, a 5-, 6-time All-Star. He's an all-NBA team once in his career. Without LeBron James, Kyrie has to remember exactly who he is. The fact of the matter is, it's out of line, because how are you going to talk about the person who helped make your career, helped make your name in that context? Is KD a killer in the clutch? Sure, KD is a killer in the clutch. Is LeBron a killer in the clutch? Absolutely, LeBron is a killer in the clutch. When LeBron had the opportunity to throw shade, he didn't. He said AD is a dog, but D-Wade is a dog. Oh, I'm not going to throw no shade right now, because Kyrie is a dog too. But then when you're talking about Kyrie easily could have been like, yeah, KD, he a killer, but LeBron is a killer too. You can't sit here and tell me that this isn't shade, Slick. Come on now.
No, but there's a distinction. Look, Anthony Davis can do certain things that Dwayne Wade can't. But again, if you were asking me up until the last series who I would want to have the ball in his hands for a last shot, it would have been Dwayne Wade 10 times out of 10 over Anthony Davis, because he simply hadn't demonstrated that he had the capability of doing that. This is the same argument we had with Kobe and Shaq. It's not shade to say that Shaq wasn't the guy that you would give the ball to at the end of the game, but was Shaq instrumental and vital in Kobe winning those first 3 championships? Absolutely he was. But if I was taking the last shot, if I wanted the last shot taken, I'm not giving the ball to Shaq. Aside from the free throw problems, it simply is too difficult to get that done. And so Kobe has demonstrated without question he's going to take that. This is my greatest issue, honestly,
What's your issue?
with LeBron.
What's your issue,
And
Slick?
in these situations,
What's this?
is that when I give the ball to LeBron in a need situation, I want him to go get it, because I believe in his ability. And there have been too many instances where he is deferred to somebody else that I consider a lesser player. I don't want my go-to guy to do that. And so if LeBron doesn't fully believe that he should be the guy taking that shot, and Tristan, you know this, this creates uncertainty within a team. If I know, look, this dude's going to go get it. Let's get him the ball, and he's going to make it happen. LeBron will make it happen, but not necessarily with him taking the shot.
But that's perfectly
and
fine.
That's the specific here. That's the shot.
But Slick, when I know what you're saying, because guess what? We remember Kobe. Kobe would shoot a shot on a double team. We know that. Kobe would shoot those tough shots and all that. But LeBron, he just makes the right play. You cannot tell me right now, when LeBron passed the ball up to like Damon Jones in the corner against the Wizards in the playoffs, when he shut down that Gilbert Arenas tandem with Antoine and Caron Butler, he made the right play. LeBron just makes the right play when it comes down to it. Yes, of course, yes, you want your best player to take the shot. But if a guy's open and it's the right play, make the right play. LeBron's always played the game the right way, and it's almost to a fault, because guys like us will say, oh, he doesn't like the spotlight. He doesn't want the big moment. Yes, he does like the big moment, but he's making the right play. He believes in his teammates. Shoot, that's how all of us play better. If you believe in me, I'm going to make the shot. Like, that's the way you're supposed to play basketball. Yes, we want LeBron to shoot with a double team on, but if someone's doubling you, that means someone's open. That's the right play in basketball.
LeBron always makes the right play. Jordan, Kobe, etc., they said that they were the right play. But LeBron last night making the right play for his teammates is also what got the Lakers up 1-0 on a dominant performance over the Heat. Coming up at the top of the hour, LeBron is chasing Michael Jordan for GOAT status. We'll tell you if a title in the bubble will be respected. But first, the Lakers dominated the Heat in Game 1. We'll tell you if it's time to bust out the broomsticks for the sweep. Next, Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. Now let's talk about LeBron and the Lakers, because they dominated last night, led by as many as 32 points in Game 1 of the NBA Finals. AD had a game-high 34 points in his Finals debut, and LeBron King James added another 25 and was 1 assist away from a triple-double. The Heat lost the game and 2 of their top players, Goran Dragic and Bam Adebayo, to injuries, and their status for the rest of the series is uncertain. Joined again by Slick Rick and Tristan Thompson, cooler heads shall prevail this blot. But Tristan, I'm going to start with you. Lakers, they bringing out the brooms to sweep this series, sweep the Heat?
I'm telling you this right now. If Bam is not playing, it's definitely a sweep. I mean, Acho, we talked about this, our prediction. I had Lakers in 6 after watching last night. Lakers in 5. So, and I'm only saying that because of how much I respect, Pat Riley, Spoelstra, and just that Heat culture. So, nobody wants to see a sweep, but if Bam and Dragic ain't playing, man, it's a sweep. It's bad.
It's two options, gentlemen. Speaking of the word gentleman, it's either going to be a sweep or a gentleman sweep. But either way, them brooms is coming out. It wasn't even a competition. Like, LeBron, too strong. AD, too strong. You can't guard AD. You can't guard LeBron. And the problem is they're sitting there saying, okay, we're going to keep LeBron from getting his, but then everybody else was getting buckets. But here's the other thing. We realized the stage was too big. I'm sorry, Iggy. One point in a time, Iguodala, you were a LeBron stopper. The days of stopping LeBron are no longer. Iguodala was minus 25, plus or minus. Ew. Tyler Hero, 37 points just a couple games ago. Young man was balling. Minus 35, plus or minus last night. Ew. The stage was too bright for the Heat. And the fact of the matter is, it's going to be a sweep. I do trust Spo. I do trust Pat Riley. Those dudes have built that organization. But the problem is, Spo don't step on the court. Pat Riley don't step on the court. Udonis Haslem, one or two players for the Heat that have actually been to the finals before, he don't step on the court. So the fact of the matter is, it is going to be a sweep, and it does not look good for the Heat.
No, I don't see a sweep. This game one reminded me a lot of the game one against the Denver Nuggets, where the Nuggets came out and they did a few things early on. I was like, that matchup might work for them. They might get something out of that. The Miami Heat had the same thing going. And then they got a little full of themselves and turned the ball over. Offense started to go awry, bad shot selection. And the Lakers just geared it up and said, oh, you're going to give us some runouts? We're going to take this. And opened up a lead, and playing from behind and taking that punch certainly knocked the Nuggets back. They were never competitive again. Same thing with the Miami Heat. And you guys have mentioned it. I just look at Bam Adebayo certainly is an X factor. He has to play more than some 24 minutes, and I want to see him when he's playing against LeBron or AD and what he can do there. But because it's the bubble, you mentioned Tyler Hero. And Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson are combined 2 for 11. If this was a normal playoff NBA Finals, I would say, yeah, you know what? They're about to play another game, and they're going to hear all about it from the crowd, and they're going to feel that same pressure, and the chance that they're going to do the exact same thing is very high. But this is the bubble. It's like there is no crowd. There is no carryover emotion from the first game. So when I look at what the Heat have and some of the options that they have and the intuitive knowledge that they have and what the Lakers have demonstrated, which is they still have a tendency to gear back, I can see ultimately the Nuggets at least winning a game or two.
Well, here's what we do know. LeBron is 26-2 in playoff series when he wins games one. So whether it's a sweep, a gentleman's sweep, or whether LeBron is a little more gracious and allows the Heat to win 2 games like Slick Rick believes, the Lakers are going to win. So let's talk about the implications staying with the finals, because LeBron dominated in the 50th NBA Finals game of his career with a near triple-double. And if last night is any indication, like I said, LeBron's Lakers could be on the verge of sweeping the badly injured Heat. LeBron actually has an NBA record 12 sweeps in 7-game series, but he has never swept a team in the finals. So, gentlemen, let's talk about the real question. If the Lakers sweep, will it actually be bad for LeBron? And I'm going to go first with this one because on the surface, it sounds like a ludicrous statement. If the Lakers sweep, will it be bad? But think about this, Slick. Think about this, Tristan. Everybody's already trying to undermine LeBron's success. They already said, oh, LeBron went to the East, so we don't care about him going to 8 straight NBA Finals. You got guys like Scottie Pippen coming out and saying, this isn't the NBA. This is more like pickup basketball. You have respected NBA analysts at other networks saying, I wish the NBA would have reseeded the playoffs 1-16 instead of going East to West. If LeBron makes it look too easy, I fervently believe that people are going to try to come out and say, man, this shouldn't even have counted. Like, if LeBron makes it look too easy, as dumb as that sounds, that's the world in which we live, where if LeBron makes it look too easy, everybody will now start to say, this chip don't mean nothing anyway, at least in the interim, at least in the short term. Remember what happened when the Lakers went up against the Nuggets? Man, this don't mean nothing. He dodged the Clippers. He dodged the best team in the West. Remember what happened when Giannis got knocked out? Man, now we're not going to see Giannis face LeBron. Now LeBron's going to dodge the Defensive Player of the Year, the NBA MVP. I believe that if LeBron makes it look too easy, you're going to start to hear the ludicrous statements of maybe it was actually bad for LeBron's legacy.
I thought the same thing when I first considered this topic, Acho. I was right there with you that sweeping would only further discount what LeBron has accomplished. I'm not going to go with Scottie Pippen, though, and say that it's because of the bubble. And I'm not going to say that a sweep would discount him or the accomplishment, because the fact of the matter is the Nuggets winning a game or two, the Heat winning a game or two is not going to change how we view the Miami Heat, particularly if Goran Dragic and Bam Adebayo are not playing. We're going to look at them as a wounded animal. And so ultimately, the one thing that LeBron is battling is not the Miami Heat. It's not the Clippers. It's not any of the opponents. He's battling Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. And what is the one criticism about LeBron that we've heard most frequently is that he does not have their killer instinct, that he doesn't always go for blood, that sometimes he makes a business decision, or sometimes, for whatever reason, he decides to let his foot off the gas. That's why I believe not just beating the Miami Heat, but sweeping them and destroying them will ultimately be a plus for LeBron in this instance, as opposed to giving away a game or two, because that's not going to change the narrative for all the reasons that you stated, Acho.
Tristan, what you got?
Yeah. No, what I don't understand is that, listen, we wanted LeBron to be in the finals. It's not our fault Giannis didn't get there. It's not our fault Kawhi and the Clippers want to shoot the ball off the side of the backboard. It's not our fault. LeBron did his job, got to the finals. Let me put it like this. When the Lakers beat Orlando, the finals was supposed to be Lakers versus Cleveland, but then Cleveland lost to Orlando. We don't say that title don't count for the Lakers. We say, yeah, that's Kobe's fourth championship. We give it to him. So with LeBron, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do: get to the finals and win. So for all the people that are saying, it's the bubble, like, first of all, the bubble in terms of all that, it's like, yeah, the Lakers, you're gonna run into the Heat in the food room, in the hotel. Like, listen, when you get beat by 30 and you got to see the guy that just beat you by 30, you're like, man, we got to play these guys again? Like, LeBron has done his job. This is not going to hurt his legacy at all. This is just going to be more icing on the cake. That's why I say he's the greatest of all time. You want to talk about Greek Freak? You want to talk about the Clippers? You want to talk about James Harden and the Rockets? Everyone, we always mention the matchup where take LeBron down. Saw blood, cut their necks off, and keep it moving, man. This is just more icing on the cake.
Slick, question for you. You went to an Ivy League school, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So Slick went to an Ivy League.
I went to the University of Texas of the Northeast.
So Slick, Tristan and I, we didn't go to Ivy, so maybe y'all didn't get down like this, but rock with me for a second. At a place maybe like the University of Texas, if you cheating on a test, Slick, and the teacher leaves the room, you got to make sure not to get all your answers right. Because if you get all your answers right and you make it look too easy and you ace the test too much, people are going to start to raise their eyebrows like, maybe we should retest. Maybe that test didn't count. Maybe there was some funny business. If LeBron sweeps the Heat and he gets all the answers right, I do think that some people are going to start to raise their eyebrows and be like, wait a second, LeBron beat a 5 seed, the Heat? The Heat had the 10th best record overall in the NBA. The last time we saw a lower seed than a 5 seed in the finals was over 2 decades ago in 1999 when the Knicks lost to the Spurs. I'm telling you, Slick, eyebrows are going to start to raise by people like you in the media, by people like myself, although I'd like to think of myself as better than that. But people are going to start to poke holes in the narrative of LeBron's greatness.
Well, you killed that in the A block in terms of thinking better of yourself. So it's too bad. But I'm curious about your analogy. Are you suggesting that LeBron is cheating somehow? That he's getting over by the circumstance?
Yes, because I'm not suggesting it. NBA greats are suggesting it. Scottie Pippen literally said, and we'll get to this at the top of the next hour, but he literally said, this is not the NBA. this is a pickup basketball, I believe was the quote. He said Rajon Rondo is a career 20, 30% three-point shooter, and now he's shooting 50%. Statistically, Scottie Pippen was not very inaccurate. So it's not me that's questioning it, Slick. My fear is you're going to have greats, hoopers like Tristan, hoopers that are actually in the game looking around saying, you know what? Wait a second. The Lakers had a 3-month layoff. The Lakers, Slick, are the second oldest team in the NBA. You think that 3-month layoff didn't matter? People are going to start to question it. Scottie Pippen already has.
Yeah. Shout out, by the way, to the Lakers medical staff. They have the oldest team among the last 4, and they've suffered the fewest injuries that have been critical in any of these circumstances. All that said, again, the reason that I see it different is because LeBron isn't playing to ace the exam, whether it's at UT or at Dartmouth. He's trying to demonstrate that he's a Rhodes Scholar. Not just a Rhodes Scholar, that he is the all-time great scholar. So anytime that you miss an answer, anytime you get an answer wrong, that's going to be discounted on the big report card in the sky. And that's why, in this instance, LeBron does himself no favors by dropping a game to the Miami Heat, knocking them out in 4 or beating them so badly in the first 3 games that they just take a pass on the 4th one. Now, that would add something to his legacy.
Yeah, and I think Scottie Pippen, I don't know what he's talking about. Listen, it's basketball. I mean, it's not pickup. We're not UCLA. It's still NBA players going at each other. It's not pickup. Like, why can't – so if we saying – it's pickup and Rondo's not a good shooter, and in the bubble he's making shots. We can say that about a lot of guys, but I saw guys that were shooters that weren't making shots in the bubble. So we're going to say about them now. What are we going to say about that? So I don't agree with Scottie Pippen. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know if the braids are too tight or whatnot, but he's definitely tripping with that. But no, this is just shows that it's icing on the cake, man. This is the greatest of all time. I'm enjoying it.
Well, speaking of players that have dropped games, coming up, Dak Prescott and Baker Mayfield square off Sunday, and we'll tell you which quarterback needs to win more. That's next. Speak for yourself. Presented by Hyundai. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. Let's talk about Baker Mayfield and Dak Prescott, who will square off in Dallas on Sunday on Fox. Well, Baker's Browns have won 2 in a row, but most of the credit's going to the running game. Meanwhile, Dak Prescott leads the league in passing yards, but the Cowboys are only 1-2 to start the season. Joined by NFL analysts LeVar Arrington and Bucky Brooks. Gentlemen, LA, you up first. Who needs to win more this weekend, Baker or Dak?
Of course it's Dak. I mean, let's look at how critical and how much scrutiny has been on Dak Prescott's head and back and neck. He's been playing really well, but it continues to be that same type of conversation that you've been having, Nacho, is that, you know what? It's not wins. You're playing well, but it's not equating to wins. And listen, if you go out and you pitch an egg against the Cleveland Browns, I think that's going to be a hard one to recover from.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's Dak Prescott, and it's very clear. It's very, very, very simple. But I can already feel the ignorance that Bucky's about to spew. So I know I got to come with it. Let me start like this. The Browns have very low expectations because, like LeVar said, they're the Browns. They're the Browns. They're over 500. They're playing with house money. Browns haven't been over 500 since 2014, December 7th of 2014. Even if they lose, they're still going to be at 500. Even if the Cowboys and Dak Prescott win, they're only at 500. You see what I did there? That little word, still going to be at and only? That's how the media changes the narrative for the Cowboys. But more importantly, Dak Prescott is playing for this money. Now, Bucky, I was going to save my heat for my second lap, but I know how you fight. You fight dirty, so I'm coming with my heat in my first go-round. Think about this. 3 quarterbacks in NFL history have been franchise tagged. The last one to get franchise tagged was Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins, under the tag, he balled. He threw for 4,900 yards. He threw for 25 touchdowns. He threw 12 interceptions. Dak Prescott's on pace to do similar things. On pace to throw for 6,000 yards, but that's not going to happen. On pace to throw for 26 touchdowns, and he's also on pace to throw for 14 interceptions. But here's what my point is, Bucky.
Get to the point.
Kirk Cousins got tagged again. You're it. Yep. Because Kirk Cousins went 8-7-1. Congratulations, Dak Prescott. If you lead the league in passing, good for you. But if the Cowboys lose, especially to teams like the Browns, it's all bad in D-Town.
All bad.
So here's the thing, Acho, because you guys always kind of change the thing. So here I have a page full of notes to talk about the Browns and why it's so critical for Baker Mayfield to win this as the former #1 pick. But I'm gonna address the Cowboys situation because Dak's money has already been made. That franchise tag guarantees him that if they sign him again, he's going to get $37 million. So I'm not worried about him getting paid. And anyone who has watched the Cowboys play know that he is playing with some hot garbage on defense. Like, I love the names, and if this was a Madden game from a couple years ago, I would love having Everson Griffin and Alden Smith and all those guys. But they haven't played well. And oh wait, I think the Seattle Seahawks just scored another touchdown pass. And so they don't have anything in the back end. And so my man is chasing points each and every week, which is why his passing numbers are so spectacular. But here's why it's
Baker
important.
needs to win more.
Yeah, Baker needs to win more because Baker was the #1 overall pick. Baker is playing with maybe the best collection of talent that you could ever have around you. 2 #1 running backs in Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Both of those guys have over 200 yards. You got OBJ and Jarvis Landry on the outside, 2 Pro Bowl players who can win their respective matchups. You have an offensive line that has been rebuilt with one of the best O-line coaches in Bill Callahan. If Baker Mayfield can't win with the luxury items that he has around him, he's never going to be able to do it. And know this is the year that the Browns have to decide whether they want to pick up his 5th-year option. So Baker, he has to get down. If not, there could be somebody else wearing the brown.
The problem with what you just said.
There's a lot of problems with Bar. There's a lot of problems with what he just said.
When you go shopping and you go buy certain perishable goods, they have an expiration date on them. Just like when they brought in all those names that you just routed off and said this is why Baker Mayfield should be doing well and winning and has no excuses. That expiration date, that passed last year. So we can't sit there and throw out all of those names, and that's why Baker Mayfield should be doing well. I get it. A lot of people, I mean, after watching Joe Buck and Troy Aikman make Baker Mayfield a first ballot Hall of Famer in that primetime game.
Which is very hard to do, man.
It was very interesting to hear the way they spoke on him. But to me, when I'm looking at who has more on the line right now, you cannot possibly make the argument, even with the 5th-year option looming over Baker Mayfield, you got to look at Dak Prescott and what exists and what Dak Prescott has to do in order to confirm or validate the fact that you should give him something around the number that he would like to have, Archie.
Here's what it comes down to, Bucky. You have to remember this. You said that Baker's still playing and vying for a lot. You can't cry over spilled milk. And the fact of the matter is, if we keeping it a buck, Baker is spilled milk. That's what it comes down to. Like, the Browns are like, okay, well, let's get what we can get out of Baker. But at the end of the day, we probably know Baker ain't got the juice. The Browns are 2-1, but Baker's not balling. Baker's balling for Baker, but Baker not balling. So the fact of the matter is, it's not as if Baker really needs to win this game. If Baker loses this game, he is who they thought he was.
Right.
If Baker wins this game, kudos to him. But if Dak loses,
you lost to the Browns?
To the Browns?
You lost to the Browns?
Like, come on, but here's the other thing you have to remember. Everybody keeps telling me about these statistics. I logged on Twitter. I follow a lot of Cowboys beat writers because I worked for Cowboys media for 2 years. And I saw Cowboys are the first team in NFL history with 1,400 yards over 3 games and having a losing record. The Cowboys' 3 top receivers are on pace for 1,000 yards each. That's great and all. But what that got to do with these wins? Stop telling me about individual statistics. Jerry Jones doesn't care about individual statistics. Dak Prescott can lead the league in passing all he wants. Top 5 passers in the NFL last year didn't make the playoffs. Okay, Acho, too small of a sample size. 2018, the leader in the league in passing, didn't make the playoffs. There's a direct correlation between leading the league in passing and missing the playoffs. It doesn't matter if Dak has all these great statistics. He has to win, Bucky Brooks.
Man, it's so complicated because the football field that we are all playing on, I feel like we just got these movable goalposts that always move.
Here we go.
A couple years ago, when I used to go on the show, it was like, yeah, Dak Prescott has won a ton of games, but he's not doing it. We don't know if he can do it because Zeke is carrying the load in this. So the last 2 years, Dak Prescott has gone on and put up these incredible individual statistics. And look, they haven't led the wins, but now we've seen that he can put up numbers. But we continue to bring this conversation back like each and every week is an indictment on what Dak Prescott is as a player. We have seen he's a baller, he's a leader, he's a franchise player. He can do all of those things. He is now doing it with less. But I'm going to go back and I'm going to use your own arguments for you because everyone has this thing. So Carson Wentz, who we probably will talk about later on, Carson Wentz is not balling. That team is 0-1. That guy makes $32, $33 million. Dak has more notable accomplishments than Carson Wentz. You can put him in the same family. So his money has already been earned. Jared Goff, the same situation. Number one pick, 2 guys in his draft class that were taken in the first round. He was taken in the 4th round. And when you look at all of their numbers, they're all right there. So we already know
Here's my problem with what you're saying.
Deserves to be paid.
Here's my problem with what you're saying. At the point at which you're 4, year 5 in the league, nobody cares what round you were drafted in. LeVar, you was number 2 overall pick. Did people still care about
Ain't
year 3?
nobody care after too many losing seasons.
Like, don't nobody care anymore.
Nobody care.
You still using Dak Prescott was a 4th-round pick to coddle baby Dak. To coddle, but Dak, you're only a 4th-round pick. It's okay, baby Dak. You're okay. You're only a 4th-round pick. Come on, Bucky. Yeah. Don't nobody care about that anymore.
See, I like that. See, because what I was doing, I was giving you, like, comps. It's like when you go to the car lot and you're looking to buy cars, you go and look at cars from the same years so you can know make and model how they stack up.
That's facts.
I was giving you a comp because Jared Goff, Carson Wentz, and Dak Prescott were all in the same draft year.
2 have been to Super Bowls. 2 have been to Super Bowls. 1 hasn't. But go ahead.
But one guy never shows up for a playoff game because he's always hurt.
But he got him there.
So that's all we're doing?
And it's not all he's doing, but he did get him there. I mean, you got to make the playoffs. I didn't make the playoffs very often, so I'm not overlooking that.
Is the guy that plays for them. And then when we talk about Jared Goff had to go back to the shop. Sean McVay had to change the way they called the plays. They had to lean more on the run game to get them back on track, and now they're balling. We're not having to make these issues and exceptions for Dak Prescott, and so we continue to talk about Dak Prescott earning his money, and is that more pressure? No. The pressure is on the Cowboys because they know they have to pay him. That is why Baker Mayfield has more pressure coming into this game because we don't know if Baker Mayfield can win a shootout. What we know is if we play Tecmo Bowl, with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and give it to both of those guys 50 times a game, the Cleveland Browns can win and go to 3-1, but we don't know if Baker Mayfield can put it on his shoulders. That's why he has the pressure.
All right, it's time to put our money where our mouth is, figuratively, because it's time to make our Super 6 picks. Baker's Browns at Dak's Cowboys is one of the matchups. LeVar, you up first. Give me a winner, and by how many?
I got the Cowboys 30-24.
I like that. Bucky, talk to me.
Oh, man, look, we got the Cowboys 35-32. This is easy.
Give me the Cowboys 27-17, but it's going to be close.
Which means the Browns are going to win.
It's going to be close at first. LeVar's exactly right. Browns by 30. Make sure to get your picks in before kickoff Sunday for your chance to win Terry Bradshaw's $100,000. Show me the money. And for top stories, scores, and more, go to the Fox Sports app. Coming up, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid are on a roll, but we'll tell you if it's time to pump the brakes on the Tom Brady-Bill Belichick comparison. That's next. Speak for yourself. Presented by Hyundai. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's talk about the Red Hot Chiefs, who will host the Patriots Sunday. The matchup prompted the Boston Globe to ask if Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid could become the next Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Mahomes and Reid have won 1 Super Bowl together so far, but remember, Brady and Belichick have won a record 6 Super Bowls and 9 appearances. Bucky and LA are back with me, but I got to get this started first because I got to make sure we start on the right track. I'm going to tell you why Belichick and Brady are comparable to Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid will be the next duo. Think about this. When Belichick and Brady were in their prime, they had competition by about 2 or 3 teams. You had Peyton Manning and his Colts. You had the Steelers. They were going to make some noise. And the Ravens were going to poke their head into the equation every now and then. There were about 2 or 3 teams on any given Sunday, any given season that could challenge Brady and Belichick. The difference is right now with Patrick and Mahomes, who's going to stop them? I don't see anybody stopping that team. Think about it. You have the Houston Texans. Everybody wanted to make Deshaun Watson, Patrick Mahomes a rivalry, except for the fact that there was a 4-quarter stretch between the playoffs last year and the first half this year when the Chiefs outscored the Texans 82-17. Ew. Okay, who else gonna stop them? The Baltimore Ravens, led by Lamar Jackson, the cover of Madden, NFL MVP. Except for the fact that Patrick Mahomes and his Chiefs undressed the Ravens every single time they touched the field. Nobody can stop the Chiefs right now, at least not in the AFC. In order to stop the Chiefs, you have to have firepower. You have to have an Aaron Rodgers type, a Russell Wilson type. Only problem, they exist in the NFC. So Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are definitely on track to becoming that next great dynasty. But it's not even my words. Tyreek Hill already said it. Chris Jones already said it. The whole Chiefs team already believes it. I'm just a co-signature on what they already signed for and made the deposits on.
Yeah, I'm saying no. And the reason why I'm saying no is just pure mathematics of it all. You're saying that, and if we're basing it off of being that duo that Tom Brady and Bill Belichick were during the course of their time together, you're talking about they're only on one. Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes are only on one. Okay, so that means that they have to win 5 more Super Bowls. They'd have to make at least 7 more appearances, 8 more appearances.
Not an exact.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. So is it exact, or are we?
Put them in the conversation.
What makes it comparable?
I think to give them 3 or 4 Super Bowls in a 6-year stretch. 3 or 4 Super Bowls in a 6-year stretch. I think that's a comparable conversation.
Okay, so it's fair to think that they could possibly do that. But if I'm looking at the essence of what the question represents, if I'm going to put my conversation points up against Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, I'm not stopping at 2 or 3 Super Bowls. If they get to 3 Super Bowls, I'm not saying they're the next duo comparable to Tom Brady and to Bill Belichick. For me, they have to be either on par with what they're doing or better. So when I look at the situation, you know, Andy Reid's already got 22 years of service in the National Football League at 62 years of age. I just think when you look at the task of being what Tom Brady and Bill Belichick built as the dynasty that is in New England, I just don't think that Andy Reid has enough time. Andy, I'm sorry. I love you. Played against you for many years. I just don't think you got enough tread on your tires to make it long enough to be comparable to those guys.
Oh, no, LA. It's a lot easier to coach when you know your team is good. I'm looking at Pat Mahomes. Pat Mahomes is 27-7 since he stepped into the league. I'm looking at that percentage. That percentage is right at 790. That is over and above what Tom Brady has been able to achieve in New England. They talked about dynasties, and I know players, sometimes we can get overzealous and we'll say bodacious stuff, but this is a real and legitimate thing. When I look at the Kansas City Chiefs, just know that when they played the Baltimore Ravens on Monday night, that was their competition. They were saying, this is the team that everyone says is challenging us, and they quickly dispatched of them. And so Pat Mahomes knows, I'm 3-0 against Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is supposed to be the next coming. If this is my competition, I'm going to lord over the AFC for the next decade. That's why they signed him to that 12-year deal. They know in Kansas City that they have a dynasty brewing, and I would expect 3 out of the next 4, 5 out of the next 7, 6 out of the next 8. We're going to see the Kansas City Chiefs just pencil them in the Super Bowl, because who is going to stop them like Emmanuel Ocho just suggested?
That's my question, LA. You got to tell me who's going to stop them.
It's very difficult to sit here and actually forecast that over the next, 10 years, the next decade,
Pretty easy for me, actually.
That they're going to win the Super Bowl 4 to 5 more times?
That's pretty easy.
It's never been done. It's never been done that way.
Who's going to stop them?
And here's the thing. We could say that about Bill Walsh and Joe Montana. Who's going to stop them? We can go as far back to Bart Starr and Mr. Coach Lombardi, right? My problem with what you guys are arguing right now is it took a 20-year span of time for them to be able to accomplish that in New England. And if we're talking about comparing the greatness of something that has never been done, it's never been done. So to say that it's just going to happen again.
Not easily.
And Andy Reid,
not easily.
over a 10-year period of time is going to take Patrick Mahomes, and they are going to become the newest dynasty of dominance that the Patriots are. It's not realistic to think that there is enough time for them to do this.
You notice he ain't answering my question of who's going to stop him. He's just giving me historical bias as to why it's not possible or why it's not probable. But I didn't hear who goes. The Tennessee Titans can't stop them.
Competition.
They're not
we didn't think that Tennessee would stop the Baltimore Ravens in the playoffs last year.
The Baltimore Ravens and the Chiefs are two completely different teams. But let's get to that point. Tennessee Titans cannot stop them. Not high octane enough. The Baltimore Ravens clearly can't stop them. The Houston Texans obviously can't stop them. Nobody in the AFC is built to stop that team. But to Bucky's point, think about it. Tyreek Hill's 26 years old. Mecole Hardman, 22 years old.
There are two
Patrick
teams.
Mahomes, 26 years old.
There are two teams.
Travis Kelce, 30 years old. Nobody can stop the Chiefs. That's why it's not only how good the Chiefs are, it's
there are three teams.
How much worse is everybody? Yeah, okay, three teams. I need to hear the team.
There are four teams.
We
might find out. We might see it this weekend. We might see it this weekend. We might see it this weekend with the New England Patriots. We might see it with the Patriots. I'll tell you another team that can do it.
You might. That's good. Keep going.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are a possible team that
the worst 3-0 team in the league right now. The Pittsburgh Steelers
could possibly stop them right now, okay?
No, impossible.
And then the third team that I'll give you is the Buffalo Bills. They could possibly stop them. And even though the Ravens lost to them,
Josh
does
Allen
not mean that they can beat them consistently.
Josh Allen has been good for 2 months. 2 months. Talk to me.
LA, you must have never played spades because you're over here just talking
spades.
about all kinds of possibles and probables or whatever. I don't want you as my spade partner. I need you to be able to count your books. And you're not counting your books on the spades table. Because when I'm looking at Patrick Mahomes right now, Patrick Mahomes is cutting everybody with the big joker. He's the big joker. It doesn't matter who you have and what quarterback you bring. In a one-on-one shootout, who are you taking over Pat Mahomes?
A big joker only counts for one book.
That's fine. Then count Patrick Mahomes.
I don't think you can count your books right now. So we're going to send you back to Boston.
That's one book.
Thank you.
You're going to get set. We're going to send you back to Boston because all you can do is go bored. When I look at the Kansas City Chiefs and Pat Mahomes, and look, Acho eloquently laid out the guys that he has around him, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Sammy Watkins, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They have so many weapons. Who is going to stop this offense? Even if they don't play defense, you can pencil them into the AFC Championship game, which is what the New England Patriots were able to do, going to 9 Super Bowls and winning 6.
I just hope Granada Hills charter school football players and parents are listening to their coach talk right now, because the bottom line is there may be a team in your league that they're sitting there saying these things about, y'all don't need to dress up, practice, get ready for games because you're already going to lose. Big spades, big jokers, all that stuff.
That was the most shameless plug I'd ever heard in my life. That's why y'all haven't got a dynasty yet, LeBron, because you ain't got the confidence that you can be a dynasty.
That's his school.
Coming up in our big story, LeBron's quest for a 4th ring is being compared to pickup basketball. We'll tell you if the title in the bubble will be respected. That's next. Speak for yourself. And the Lakers, who dominated the Heat in Game 1 of the NBA Finals last night behind a combined 59 points from King James and AD. LeBron is now 3 wins away from his 4th championship, but Hall of Famer Scottie Pippen is feeling a title in the bubble and gave his reasons earlier this week, saying, quote, well, I'm going to be honest. It's not NBA basketball. It's not the hard grind. It's not the travel. It's not the fans. It's not the distractions. Really, to me, it's pickup basketball. Like, there's a whole lot of things that make the NBA hard. The bubble makes the NBA easy to me. Slick Rick is back with us, but we're also joined by CB, my guy Chris Broussard. So I'm going to start with you, CB. Are you worried the Lakers' title won't be respected?
No. I mean, that comment from Scottie, I think, is ridiculous. Yeah, that's a bit concerning because really what makes NBA basketball is the competition against other NBA players. And that's what these Lakers are going through. Look, an asterisk is for when you had an unfair advantage that your opponents didn't. You used performance-enhancing drugs. You cheated in some other way that gave you an advantage over the competition. The Lakers are going through the exact same thing as every other NBA team and player in that bubble. They're getting COVID tested every day, just like everybody else. They're away from their family for the same amount of time as everybody else. They're eating the same food. They're walking to the games, walking back home from the games, sleeping in the same hotels. They're not traveling, but neither is anybody else. So they have no unfair advantage whatsoever. There should be no asterisk by this. And I gotta be honest, anybody that doesn't respect this title as much as any other title, I think that is ridiculous.
CB, I gotta argue with the very first sentence that you said is the exact reason why you're wrong. You said NBA basketball is about the competition against other players. The Lakers championship may not be respected because of the lack of competition LeBron had to go through. Think about the other players you're talking about. NBA MVP this year, Defensive Player of the Year, Giannis. LeBron didn't have to go through him. The best two-way player the game has seen through Jordan. That's what they said about Kawhi. LeBron didn't have to go through him. If you're comparing the Lakers to everybody else in the bubble, I agree with you, CB. Yes, they're going through the same thing. But what analysts, what opinionists, what columnists are going to do, they're going to compare the Lakers championship and their competition to previous champions and their competition. And when you look at the Lakers championship versus the competition of previous champions, that is where there is going to be a discrepancy. Think about this. The last time we saw a team worse than a 5 seed in the NBA Finals was 1999, the New York Knicks, CB. When it comes down to it, people are going to pull out resumes, and they're going to say, wait a second, LeBron, you got 3 months off during the season at 35 years old? Wait a second. You didn't have to hop on a plane and travel to any other stadiums, to any other arenas? Wait a second. You didn't have to deal with the depth perception issues that come with playing in a 20,000-seat arena. When you compare this Lakers championship, not to other teams of this season, but when you compare this Lakers championship in their run to other championships in their run, I do think people like Scottie Pippen are going to try to disrespect it.
Yeah, guys, I'm not worried that it's not going to be respected because I already know that it won't be. And I agree with Scottie Pippen in terms of that it's not the bubble. The bubble is not the mental challenge that I think that we all thought it was going to be. There's some pluses and minuses. Yes, you're away from your family. Yes, you have to go through the COVID testing, but he's right. There isn't travel. There aren't the hostile environments that you have to play in. There's a lot of things that make this easier. I'm never going to discount any sort of championship. But as Acho pointed out, there are plenty of reasons to do that. One, you didn't play the defending champions in Toronto. You didn't play the best team in the Eastern Conference during the regular season, the two-time defending MVP. And ultimately, you didn't play the pre-bubble favorite that was supposed to stop you from even getting to the Western, or at least the NBA Finals. On the other hand, who did they play? They played the Blazers, who had to fight their way to get into the playoffs, and then lost Damian Lillard and Zach Collins. They played they played the Houston Rockets, a one-trick pony. They played the Denver Nuggets, the miraculous comeback kids, and now they're playing the Miami Heat, a 4th seed who is considered a Cinderella. So whether it's fair or not, the reality is people are going to look at the path that they took and the path that they didn't have to take, and there's plenty of material to say this doesn't quite measure up.
I've been on Speak for Yourself enough to expect this from Acho. But, Rick, I can't believe this. So the Lakers are to blame because the Clippers couldn't hold up their end of the bargain? Because Giannis couldn't hold up his end of the bargain? And they are going through 4, at least I'd say 4 future Hall of Famers. Hit me if you disagree. Damian Lillard, probably a Hall of Famer. Russell Westbrook and James Harden, definitely Hall of Famers. Jokic, probably going to be a Hall of Famer. And if we start looking at it like this, then forget that championship Kawhi had last year. I mean, Kevin Durant was hurt. Klay Thompson got hurt. You know what? Forget Golden State's first championship in 2015. Kyrie Irving was hurt in Game 1. Kevin Love didn't play. While we're at it, Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars, your first championship, Magic only played 75 minutes. He was injured. That one doesn't count either. Are we really going to do this?
CB, they do this to LeBron. Don't act like LeBron is spoken in the same breath as Isaiah Thomas. Don't act like LeBron is spoken in the same breath as Kyrie. Don't act like LeBron is spoken in the same breath as anybody besides Jordan. This is what they do to LeBron. You talk about future Hall of Famers in Russ and in James Harden. Yeah, maybe for scoring, but not for winning championships. The last time a scoring champ, which is what Harden and Russ Westbrook are known for, the last time a scoring champ led his team to a finals was, I believe it was 01 with Shaq, or maybe 2000 with Shaq, because it was probably Iverson in 01. The fact of the matter is, people are going to poke holes, CB, because it is LeBron. And it is undeniable and it is indefensible all the breaks that LeBron has gotten. Now, it's not LeBron's fault. I'm not blaming LeBron. Like Broussard's not, like Slick Rick said, I'm not blaming LeBron, but it's a matter of respect. Respect is earned. LeBron could only earn so much respect because of the circumstances. It's not a matter of blame. It's just a matter of keeping it real. When it comes down to it, LeBron has more scrutiny than anybody else, and there are far too many holes to be poked in this championship argument.
Acho, I was right there with you until you started the victimization of LeBron James. Look, the fact of the matter is, Broussard brings up the fact that people discount the Warriors' first title because Kyrie and Kevin Love got hurt. People discount the Raptors championship because KD and Clay got hurt. That's part of the narrative. It's not the Raptors' fault. It's not the Warriors' fault. And it's not the Lakers' fault in this instance. But it is the reality that they weren't playing the opposition at full force. And that same thing has happened along the way here. We got Jamal Murray getting hurt. We've got Damian Lillard getting hurt. Now we got Bam Adebayo and Goran Dragic. It's just the reality of the situation. And by the way, I was really curious because you brought up a very interesting point, Acho, about why don't we give the respect to LeBron for his championships the way that we do categorically for Michael Jordan as an example. Of Michael Jordan's 6 championships, he played the #1 seed from the Western Conference in the finals 5 out of 6 times. And the only one he didn't, it was the #2 seed Lakers with Magic Johnson, the first championship. Meanwhile, LeBron James has won his championships by beating 3rd seeds twice and losing to, or 2nd seeds twice and losing to a pair of 3rd seeds. And now he's going to pick up another one potentially by beating a 4th seed. Again, it's not LeBron's fault. He can only play against who he's going to play against. But anybody who wants to say that he didn't necessarily play the absolute top competition that was out there has an argument to make.
Broussard, rebuttal, sir?
I'm glad you guys brought up Jordan because I'll agree with that. Where it will hurt LeBron is when you're comparing GOATs, all right? You're trying to figure out who's the GOAT. You're comparing all-time greats. You nitpick, and LeBron will lose in this argument with Jordan. I'll give you that. But just in general, will this championship be respected? Should it be as respected as most? Yes, because I can point out to any injury, even LeBron's title, his best one in 2016, we can look at Draymond being suspended in Game 5. We can look at Andrew Bogut getting hurt and take that away from me. But generally, we don't. Acho, you brought up the title in '99 when the Knicks went as an 8 seed against San Antonio in a lockout-shortened season. Nobody looks at Tim Duncan and says, you know what, he's got 5 titles, but that first one, I mean, it was an 8th seed. It was a lockout year. It really doesn't count. People don't look at it that way. They say, you know what? He's got 5 rings. Good on him. And I think with LeBron, you'll say he's got 4 rings now, and he'll get the respect.
So, CB, you genuinely believe that this title, and given the fact that it's a bubble and there's no travel, you don't have to deal with that. You can stay in the same bed. You don't have to deal with distraction from your family. You think that this title, once in the bubble, merits the same amount of respect as other titles when you play the full 82-game season, no rest, have to travel, have to go on the road, opposing crowds, etc.?
Absolutely, because guess what? My opponents weren't traveling either. My opponents didn't have to deal with the distractions of family either. They went through the same thing that I would. They got the same advantages. If you want to call those advantages, they got them too. So what's the difference? So, yeah, there's no question. And I can also look at the 3 months or 4 months off and say that could be viewed as like LeBron should be credited for being mentally tough enough to keep himself in shape during those 3 or 4 months with no light at the end of the Did Kawhi keep himself in shape? Did the Clippers stay mentally ready?
There is no.
They bowed out in the 3 or 4 months.
No argument, Broussard, to say
LeBron should
that it
get
hurt
credited
LeBron.
for that.
There's no argument to say that the 3 months off didn't immensely help LeBron. 35 years of age, you need the break.
Yes, there is.
No, there's no valid argument. There's no competent argument.
I've talked to players.
You cannot say that the layoff hurt LeBron more than it hurt anybody else, or that he overcame. It's everybody starting at the same starting point. And I could make a case that at 35, with the resources that he has, that he had the benefit, as every superstar player who would have a gym and a court and all of the access to things. Vast majority of players, Montrezl Harrell, I guarantee you, didn't have that. Was that a huge effect on the Clippers? Yes. And what really disturbs me is that you started with the Shannon Sharp approach to the competition by naming individual potential Hall of Fame players. And CB, you know this as well as I do. It's not a one-on-one contest. It's not who the best stars are. It's who am I playing as a team. And if I'm playing against the #1 seeded team, it doesn't matter whether they have a future Hall of Famer or not. They've demonstrated over the course of the season that they are the most formidable opponent. And LeBron James, again, no fault to him. But the fact of the matter is he hasn't had to face that ultimate opponent, certainly not as much as Michael Jordan. And we are always talking about GOAT conversation. LeBron James isn't about one ring or one championship. It's always in the context of where does he stand against the all-time greats.
Well, and I think he's ahead of all the other all-time greats except for Jordan, because I can nitpick some of Magic's championships, some of Kareem's championships, Bird, et cetera, et cetera. The one I can't is Michael Jordan. So if we're just talking GOAT conversation, this might be one where you nitpick against LeBron. But again, Denver beat the Clippers, okay? It's not LeBron's fault that the Clippers weren't as good as we thought they were. Giannis, he got beat by a 5th seed. That's not LeBron's fault. And I think people need to look at it like Miami was better than Milwaukee. They beat them, and they beat Boston, which beat Toronto. So now look, I've also talked with ex-players, Rick, and you may have as well, who have said that as they got older, they needed like 20, 25 games to get back in midseason form. And that's where I said for LeBron, it may have been harder at his age to get back into real basketball shape and where he felt good in his rhythm and all that. It may have taken him longer at 35 than it took Jamal Murray at 23 years old, or some of these youngsters who can just get up and are ready to play. So I think he should be commended at 35 for getting through all of these obstacles that probably were easier for younger players to get through.
Well, LeBron can only beat the teams on the schedule and the opponents on the court opposite him, but it will be interesting to see how much respect people give this championship if, in fact, the Lakers do close it out in the coming games. Coming up, Carson Wentz's job could be on the line Sunday. We'll tell you if this is a make-or-break weekend for the Eagles quarterback. That's next. Speak for yourself. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's head to Philly, where Carson Wentz is having a season to forget. His Eagles are winless, and he's tied for the league lead with 6 interceptions. The slow start has prompted some to ask if he should be benched. Wentz said yesterday, quote, "I've critiqued myself hard, and I've got to be better." Bucky's back with us, as is L.A. So, Bucky, I'm going to start with you. Is this a make-or-break weekend for Carson Wentz?
It's not a break-or-break weekend for him to retain his starting job. I think he is the franchise quarterback in Philadelphia, and everyone knows that. But I do believe the Philadelphia Eagles want to see their QB1 play at a high level. I told you, he doesn't look right. When I made that analogy about being that off-the-rack suit, that's what I feel like. I feel like it's ill-fitting for Doug Peterson and what he wants to do offensively. And some of this stems from the fact that Carson Wentz no longer uses his athleticism to make him a dominant playmaker on the perimeter. Sure, he doesn't have the weapons around him that he needs to play at a high level, but he was the reason why that offense looked so great back in 2017, because he utilized not only his arm talent, but his athleticism. He needs to get back to trusting his athletic ability so he can get on the perimeter and play, because if he tries to play like a statuesque quarterback, it simply is not good enough for the Philadelphia Eagles to win a number of games.
It's not at all a make-or-break game for Carson Wentz, and it's, in all honesty, because Carson Wentz has a luxury that other quarterbacks in the NFL don't. The Eagles are all in on Wentz. They put the money up. He signed a 4-year, well, he has a 4-year, $128 million extension that really goes into account next year. That's really when it begins. Carson Wentz has been bad. He's been awful. He's been atrocious. He's been terrible. He's been every adjective I can think of to describe poor performance. But the fact of the matter is, Carson Wentz has leeway for a few reasons. Number one, his offense is depleted. Not just offensive line, because there are several offensive lines that are depleted throughout the National Football League. His receiving core is depleted. How can you throw the ball to receivers if you don't have receivers to throw the ball to? That's not necessarily an excuse, but it is, in fact, an explanation. But let's talk about this. The Eagles, they got to go down swinging with Carson Wentz. I've told y'all before, I'll tell you again. I'm a blackjack player. If you feeling hot and you go table max, you go all in, you put all your money up because you're like, this is the hand. Well, all of a sudden, the dealer's showing a 10 and you got 16. You can't go down swinging. LeVar, you're looking at me with that smile because you know what I'm talking about. You better take, no, you better take this hit. You got to take the hit.
Take the hit?
Because you have to go down fighting. You can't go down watching. The Eagles are all in on Carson Wentz. They put all their chips on the table. They looking at a 16 right now. Worst hand you can have on the table, worst quarterback in the National Football League as it stands. But the fact of the matter is this. The Eagles have to take this hit. Carson Wentz has to go out there week in and week out. You live by Carson Wentz, you die by Carson Wentz. That's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, I love using card references. What if a 2 or 3 shows up when that dealer turns them cards over? You'd be real sick if you bust. Here's the thing. I'm looking at it. It is a make or break situation for Carson Wentz. And here's the reason why. All of the conventional wisdom that you guys are using makes a ton of sense. But the problem is, with that bullseye of a contract, of that all-in buy-in that you're talking about financially, Acho, that production that he's been able to have in years past that you're talking about, Bucky, you want to know the worst thing about playing in Philadelphia? It's fans, it's media, it's coverage.
That is true.
And we all know that the perception and the reality is what? What is it based off of, right? This is an everything problem going on in Philadelphia right now. But we're going to follow who's playing the poorest, who is the most popular, who's making the most money. So who are we going to look at? First off, on players, we're going to look at the quarterback. Second of all, you know who we're going to look at? The coach. So now if Doug Peterson becomes somebody that they begin to look at and scrutinize as, is this guy's run over? Was it just a shot in the past? Was this just a Milli Vanilli one-time hit with this guy? Or is it a situation where Doug Peterson has to show that he is proactively still trying to make sure that his team can be a winning team? We all know that this team has slid and has regressed in a lot of ways in different positions. But Patrick Wentz is playing poor enough. Carson Wentz is playing poor enough. What did I call him? Patrick? Yeah, because I want to say Patrick Mahomes so bad.
They're far different right
Carson
now.
is not playing like Patrick. And the reason that he is on the hot seat is because, you know what? They could have won 2 of these 3 games, but they're 0-2-1, and their schedule is not getting any easier. They could end up being 0-5-1 before long. And that does not sit well. So you're going to have to justify it some way or another. It could be Carson Wentz.
No, he can't go down, because then to take him out, that means you got to put Jalen Hurts in. And I don't think any of us believes that Jalen Hurts is an upgrade over Carson Wentz, no matter how bad Carson Wentz is playing. And so the trick is, can the Philadelphia Eagles fix Carson Wentz? Can Doug Peterson find the recipe to unlock Carson Wentz and get him back to playing at that high level? We have seen him play at the MVP level.
What's that? What was the recipe? We haven't seen it. What recipe is
we
it?
have seen the recipe. The recipe was how he played in 2017 when they allowed him to utilize his athleticism. They ran RPOs. They put him on the perimeter. They allowed him to do some things. Now,
different personnel.
I don't know if Carson Wentz wants to change his game and become a more pocket passer because he got beat up, or if this is something where the Eagles have so many people in the offensive room that they're trying to figure out which way to play. But somebody needs to step in and say, here's how Carson Wentz plays well. We're going to call these plays over and over. And then Carson Wentz has to play like the player they expect him to be and what they're paying him to be.
The issue with
no. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that because you didn't give me that argument with Dak Prescott. No one cares. You're Carson Wentz, step your game up. It's not make or break, but whatever they throw out there, make it right.
It is the same theory with Dak.
The real issue is this. The issue is twofold. Number one, the Eagles are stuck between a rock and a hard place. Okay, you want to roll Jalen Hurts out there, great. Just roll him out there versus one of the top 3 coaches in the National Football League in Shanahan this week against the Niners. Okay, then roll him out there against the Steelers that are undefeated. You can't do that. If Jalen Hurts was really a viable option, he would be playing right now. They tried to give him some snaps. They didn't give him a lot of snaps, probably for a reason. Even if the Eagles are out on Carson Wentz, which they aren't, but they really can't be because of monetarily, you have to approach it like Tua and Fitzpatrick even. Like, okay, we going to let Carson Wentz take these lashes? Carson, you going to have to take this beating? Then we'll roll Jalen Hurts out here in 4 weeks against the Giants because we can already count that off as a win. But the fact of the matter is the Eagles are in a tough predicament. But really, what Bucky's saying is this. Everybody points to Carson Wentz was only good in 2017. You could argue that Carson was just as good last year as he was in 2017, given the circumstances. To go 9-7 without Alshon, without Deshaun Jackson, with your second-round pick who ended up being a nobody on the field, you could argue that Carson Wentz, what he did last year, was actually just as impressive as going 11-3 in 2017. So Carson Wentz isn't far removed from playing well. The problem is he does not have very much help. More pressure on you, Carson, and you already got paid, so you ain't got no excuses.
Let me pull out Arringtonism. Since Marcellus isn't here today, I'm going to pull out an Arringtonism.
It better be fire.
All right. When you suck, things must change. All right?
That's not an Arringtonism.
That is.
Okay? That's a sentence. That's just a sentence.
Or let me switch it around. Those who suck, things must change. Change must come when you suck. The bottom line here is y'all can use all of this educationally driven speech that you're using, but this is going to connect to our viewer. They're not good. So what does it matter if you put in Jalen Hurts? You're not good anyway. You're not good right now. Well, if Jalen was going to come in, he would have came in now. You're trying to see if you can get from as bad as you are to something a little bit better, and you're going to try to stay with them. If you continue to suck and ruin the season by playing as bad as you're playing, it doesn't matter if you throw in the young rookie to try to figure out and get some reps to play. That's the bottom line. You're not sitting there playing Jalen Hurts to save the season or Jalen Hurts to be this world beater. You're getting him his reps. You know why? Because something had to change.
I feel like the Wiley, the Arringtonism needed to be a little elevated to really become like an
Sometimes
Arringtonism.
you just got to keep it simple.
Okay.
Simplicity is the key.
We're going to keep it simple next block. Coming up, Russell Wilson has put everyone on notice this season, and we'll tell you if that means the Seahawks are clearly the best team in the NFC. That's next. Speak for yourself.
It must change.
Welcome back. Time now for Rewarding Performance, sponsored by Capital One. What's in your wallet? Well, Russell Wilson was rewarded as the NFC Player of the Month this morning, but it's really no surprise since he's been off to a red-hot start this season, leading the league with 14 touchdown passes. Not only that, the Seahawks are averaging a franchise record 37 points per game through the first 3 games of the season. L.A. and my guy Bucky Brooks are back with me. So, Bucky, you tell me, are the Seahawks clearly the best team in the NFC?
No. Russell Wilson may be playing the best. He may be playing at an MVP level, but this team is not the best in football. They just have an MVP caliber quarterback who's carrying the team. When I look at teams and we talk about the best and who is going to be one of the last team standing, you want to make sure that there's enough balance, meaning the offense plays at a high level, the defense plays at a high level, and they're getting great contributions in the kicking game. When I look at the Seattle Seahawks defense, they are not good enough, and they lost their best pass rusher, Jamal Adams, last game. He had an injury. And without Jamal Adams coming off the edge as a safety blitzer, they cannot consistently get to the quarterback. This team, this defense is no longer the Legion of Boom. And so when we think about the Seattle Seahawks and their path to victory is Russell Wilson playing out of his mind. How long can Russell Wilson continue to cook like he's been cooking?
As long as he wants.
Because I just don't know if he can cook the entire season and make it all happen on him.
He can. Here's the thing about it, Bucky. The Seahawks are clearly the best team in the NFC. It's very simple. Players are a reflection of their coach. You gentlemen are coaches. You know this. But a team is a reflection of their quarterback. And Russell Wilson is the best quarterback in the NFC by far and away, bar none.
Oh, wow.
The Seahawks have limited competition in the NFC. Right now, really the only competition or team that I would put in that same breath is the Packers. Fact of the matter is, Packers defense is trash, too. They both give up 28 points a game. They both give up 6.5 yards a play. They're both atrocious on defense. So then it comes down to the battle of the quarterbacks, mano y mano, and it's very simple. Russell Wilson is very clearly out-dueling Aaron Rodgers. The Seahawks are by far and away the best team, but Bucky, you said the very reason they are. Their defense is bad. Well, 2 games ago, their starting safety, Quandre Diggs, got ejected. Last game, Jamal Adams got hurt. So it's not as if their defense is playing bad without reason. The defense is playing bad because they've either been ejected in a game or caught an injury in the fourth quarter of a game. The Seahawks, the team to beat.
The Seahawks clearly are not the best team in the NFC. In fact, there are a few teams, and you mentioned the Packers.
I need names. I need names, LeVar.
I see the Packers as being, if I had to pick one team today that I'd make number 1, it'd be the Packers. But then you got Tampa Bay that could be possibly
2-1 Tampa Bay.
Yeah,
lost to the Saints.
And there's a 2-1 Rams team that I also
just lost to the Bills. That Rams team?
That is correct. Yes, they did lose. And look, you look at the Seattle Seahawks team. They're
the 3-0 Seahawks.
They're one yard away, 1 yard from losing to the Patriots. Okay, they got it. I want to stay with this whole defensive theme, this defensive topic, since Marcellus isn't here, and I want to handle things for my homie while he's gone. Full screen for this scene, all right? You look at the defenses here, as y'all mentioned. I know you gave a couple cookbook stats, Mr. Acho, but you tell me, how in the world can you rate a team the best team in the NFC? Wait, how many teams are in the National Football League, Acho?
32.
How many teams?
32.
Okay, what? In total defense, what is your Seahawks ranked? 32. 32. If I said anything more, it would really just take away from the discussion point that I just made. So I'll just let you refute it if you want.
I thought without Marcellus here, I genuinely thought, Bucky, that the kitchen would be safe, that books would not be cooked. But here I see the chef is gone, and the sous chef, LeVar Arrington, is here to save the day. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have the 4th best defense, right? Who'd they play last week? Who was that quarterback? They played the Broncos. Oh, Drew Lock was there, right? No! They played the Broncos without Drew Lock. They played the Broncos with a man by the name of Jeff Driscoll in his first NFL start. Okay, who did the Bucs play the week before? Did they play the Patriots? No! They played the Carolina Panthers with the head coach in his 2nd game coming from college from Baylor University. Stop cooking these books, LA. Who did the Seahawks play? Who did the Seahawks play? They only played the Cowboys, who currently have 3 receivers on pace for 1,000 yards. Currently played the Cowboys, who have 1,400 yards, nearly an NFL record, if not an NFL record, through 3 games in the season. Oh, and they played the Patriots with a guy by the name of Super Cam Newton, who you have attested to the greatness of. So if you want to talk about Seattle Seahawks being ranked 32nd, at least let's speak about it honestly. If they would have played the Broncos, they'd probably be top 10 too.
Some teams. Green Bay has played some teams.
But here's the thing. You said clearly the best team in the NFC. And LeVar, I like LeVar pulling that out the bag. That was a nice trick, LeVar, pulling that full screen, letting the Seattle Seahawks be known to be the 32nd ranked
out of 32
defense in football. I mean, my goodness. And here's the thing, because I don't have this stat, I can't put it on the full screen, but what I can tell you is that what the Seattle Seahawks have tried to do to really reduce the amount of snaps for the defense, they're playing slower than anybody else. That means they are running the play clock all the way down to the end to try not to give their defense extra snaps, and it's still not working. So what is going to happen when Russell Wilson cools off a little bit? They're not able to control the game with their offense, and they have to play even Steven with their defense. It is going to be a problem. That's why I can't certify them as the best team in the NFC. They simply aren't playing good enough defense.
That's correct.
And it will come back to bite them in the end.
The DNA of the defense is still connected to the entirety of the DNA of this team. Look, we love using track references. They're just popped in my head. I'm just sitting
It better be a good one.
I'm just thinking to myself, like, we can name guys that come in first or second when they come. You know, Usain won. Oh, you know, this Gatlin won. You know, Maurice Jones, they won. We can name those guys. Sometimes we can even name the guy that lost because generally they come in. You know,
Maurice Green.
Okay, Mo Green.
Get to your point, LeVar.
You're right. Thank you very much. You know, a Freudian slip. Anyway, the point is, can anybody ever name to me the guy that came in last? And tell me in one race ever in life, in the history of 100-meter races, who came in last? Can't do it, won't do it. Why try? It's the same thing. Can't give number one to a team that has a guy, a unit that has finished last. There you go.
The difference is track and field is an individual sport. Football, the ultimate team sport.
Last
and Russell Wilson is carrying his team to the best team in the NFC. Coming up, Drew Brees is being called out, and Alvin Kamara isn't having any of it. We'll tell you if coming to the quarterback's defense is a bad look. That's next. Speak for yourself. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's talk about Drew Brees, who is being called out left and right for his arm strength. The future Hall of Famer has thrown the ball 20-plus yards only 2 times this season and has some thinking that he's the reason for the Saints' 1-2 start. Well, that criticism isn't sitting well with his teammate Alvin Kamara, who defended his quarterback Wednesday. Let's take a listen.
You know, it's early in the season. Everybody outside of this building has something to say, and quite honestly, I don't really give a damn. Drew's proven to be one of the best, if not the best quarterback year in and year out, and, you know, I'm expecting the same thing this year.
My guys, Bucky and LeVar, back with me. So, LeVar, you up first. Okay. Is it a bad look that Drew Brees has his teammates defending him?
No, I don't think it's a bad look at all. And Acho, you know, when I look at this situation, it's really overcompensating, right? Such a tumultuous offseason for Drew. One little slip up, and then next thing you know, everything is about defending himself. Then next thing you know, you turn around, he's got the name on the front of his helmet, and then now it's a whole nother discussion based off of that. I really think that it's a lot of non-football related issues that are surrounding him. I mean, think about it. Currently second in the NFC South. The games that they lost, you could arguably say that the team needs to be defending their defense that didn't do any defending. Did you know see what I did right there? So I look at Drew Brees. Yeah, maybe he's not playing at the level. Why do we expect people to play at certain levels? Like, oh, he's got to do this, he's got to do that to fit what you want. He's playing well enough to win games, and for him to be getting, defended by his teammates, I think it's just overcompensation for what they feel he may need in this moment in life.
I got to disagree with you. I think it is a terrible look, but it's a bad look because if Drew Brees is being defended, that means he is in need of defense. You don't have to defend somebody who is spotless, who's clean, who's untainted. Fact of the matter is, Drew Brees is definitely responsible. But let's look at the person defending him. Kamara. The Saints was trying to trade you just yesterday. Let's not forget. It's not like they love you either, but I respect it, right? You got to defend the man because technically you just had a career high in touchdowns. You just had your second most catches in the game. You just had your second most yardage output in the game. So it behooves you to defend Drew Brees. But the fact of the matter is that he has to defend him is a problem in and of itself. But let me tell you what is just so problematic. Because Drew Brees' stats are a little deceiving, if I may. His yards after catch, we got to talk about this because Drew Brees does his work, but does he really do his work? Full screen, please, yards after catch on the Saints. Think about this with Drew Brees. 53% of his yards come after the catch. You can see his week 1 totals, week 2 total, but track with me at the bottom of the screen. He's thrown for 760 yards. He's thrown for 760 yards, but 401 of them have come out after the catch, which quite literally means Drew Brees' receivers are doing more work than Drew Brees when it comes to padding Drew Brees' stats. LeVar, you played linebacker.
That's correct.
If you're talking about a running back and his yards after contact versus his yards before contact, if a running back has 200 yards on the day, but 199 of them came before contact, you ain't that impressed. Because how much is you really doing running back? You're running through gaping wide holes. Drew Brees has a reasonably high completion percentage. Good for him. Drew Brees has a reasonable amount of yards. Good for him. But the fact of the matter is, who's really doing the work?
Acho, Acho, I just know, like, because LA and you guys were both very, very talented players. So I'm sure both of you guys ran track. And you're right, because what you just pointed out to me, we all are running 100-meter races, but Drew Brees is running the 4x1. He's handing the baton off to somebody and letting them carry. So you are right. Others are doing his work, and that is the secret that defensive coordinators have known for the last couple years. While he has put up these gaudy numbers and completing over 70% of his passes and doing all of those things that have made him a legend, he's really doing it with a bunch of dink and dunk passes. And as he gets older and as the hits begin to hurt a little more, he's resorted to being a check down Charlie. In baseball terms, he went from being a fastball pitcher to being a knuckleball thrower. Oh, wow. He is now fluttering balls all over the yard, and he's hoping that defenders cannot hit them. But we are beginning to see defensive coordinators are beginning to get a bead on it, and it's making it tougher on Sean Payton to call plays because his quarterback no longer has a fastball. He is a softball pitcher rather than a baseball pitcher.
I still think there's something to be said about respect, body of work, tried and true, tested and proven.
His body of work.
Kamara is not defending him because this is some wounded animal.
Participation trophies. Here, Drew.
You're not.
Here's for your body of work.
Drew Brees because he is in need of being defended. You guys are making it seem like he has no bite left. He's lost his teeth. He's an old
no venom. He can bite. It's just no venom in there. He's biting, LeVar. It just ain't no venom in that joint.
Dogs need pressure, all right?
He's not breaking any skin.
Come on, man.
No skin. It's like when a baby's teething. That's what Drew Brees is right now. It's like when a baby's teething. Like, no disrespect. That's it. Like, there's a little bit of contact. Sure, he's going to get his yards, L.A. He's going to have a 70% completion percentage, but what's the damage? Here's what I'm saying. The Saints aren't losing because of Drew Brees. I'm not that wild to say that. But Drew Brees is not helping the Saints win. We saw Nick Foles go in, help the Bears win. We saw Josh Allen help the Bills win.
We saw Taysom Hill go in and help the New Orleans Saints.
Why was Taysom Hill in the game in the first place? Because even Sean Payton don't trust Drew Brees.
They rotate.
Sure. Does Patrick Mahomes come out the game? Does he rotate? Does Aaron Rodgers come out the game? Does he rotate?
But
does Lamar Jackson come out the game? Does he rotate? Well, why do they make that establishment? Huh?
Well, because they run dual quarterback sets. Some teams do that. The bottom line is Alvin is not defending him because he needs defending. Alvin is doing it because he's overcompensating.
Who else needs defending? LeVar, because your voice gets high-pitched when you start lying. Coming up, Sam Darnold leads the winless Jets against the Broncos tonight. We'll tell you if this is his last chance to prove he's a franchise quarterback. That's next. Speak for yourself. Tonight on Thursday Night Football, it's the Broncos squaring off against the Jets, exclusively on NFL Network. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Speaking of that game, Sam Darnold's 2020 season is off to a rocky start. His Jets haven't won a game so far, and he has thrown for more interceptions than touchdown passes. Did I read that right? Head coach Adam Gase said recently that Darnold, quote, does not like to lose. It eats at him. So L.A. is tonight Sam Darnold's last chance to prove he's a franchise QB.
I'll use my Arringtonism one more time as we finish out this show.
It better be said in Old English.
Winneth a team stinketh. Changeth must cometh. He stink. Sam Darnold, he stink. Is it his last chance? I don't know that his chance was already done before this week. Throwing all them interceptions, can't win games, team stank, coaches stink.
What else stink?
Everything.
LeVar, just by adding F to every word doesn't make it an Arrington.
No.
Anyway, it's not Sam Darnold's last. It's not his last chance to prove he's a franchise QB because Adam Gase is going to get exposed before Sam Darnold gets exposed. The last time they was on a national stage, this is what we saw: Sam Darnold seeing ghosts. And at first we was like, wait a second, Sam Darnold, that's on you. But now we realize Ryan Tannehill balling after he got away from Adam Gase. Kenyon Drake balling after he got away from Adam Gase. Devontae Parker balling after he got away from Adam Gase. Sam Darnold, you just got away, get away from